I'm Denise Soler Cox. I'm from New York. I was gonna say New York City, but I'm from New York. In 1996, at a bar with a bunch of friends in Miami, we were just hanging out like any other night. The conversation went to what it feels like to live in the in-between. There's a saying in Spanish, ni de aquí, ni de allá, and it means not from here and not from there. And many people that are first gen, born here and have parents who are immigrants, feel a tension in their identities, like they're not enough, like in my case, not Puerto Rican enough, or didn't feel Puerto Rican enough. And I also didn't feel American enough. And that was also a feeling I never discussed. We started talking about it and mostly started joking about it, but then a friend of mine leaned over and said, but have any of you ever felt like you just weren't like Latino enough? And that sparked a conversation I'd never been in before in my life. It felt so precious to me to be able to discuss this cultural not enoughness, because I immediately went from feeling very alone to realizing I have this in common with my friends, and we're all first gen, so I must have this in common with every single other first gen, and all of a sudden I feel like I'm a part of something, and other people need to know this feeling, and so I'm gonna make a movie about it. However, it took me 17 years between that night at the bar and the New Year's Day where I decided I'm good enough to make a movie about this. What I believed during those 17 years was I couldn't possibly be good enough to do great things, even though I felt like I was here to do something great. And then the day that I decided that I would do it no matter what, even if it took the rest of my life, I made a conscious decision. I'm here to make something great, and this is the great thing I'm gonna do. The film is about that feeling that I had that night with my friends. This particular story is not a political story. It's not an immigrant story. It's an identity story about what it's like to feel pulled on the inside, but visibly look completely normal and like you don't struggle on the outside. And something that's invisible, that gets discussed very little, but that deeply, deeply challenges people in their personal relationships and at work. Not speaking Spanish fluently is a huge hot button for the community. We use it as a barometer. I don't, but it is used as a barometer to gauge someone's Latinidad, or just how Latino are you? This is a story that persists in our community, and it cannot be stressed enough how not okay it is to be related to that way by our own community. And I had no idea that the story about the specific first-gen Latino growing up in the United States would resonate with people all over the world, trying to capture that feeling of not belonging to your own culture. We put the trailer on Facebook, and in 24 hours, it had gone viral. People from all over everywhere were reaching out saying, how can I see this movie? Can you come to my company and speak? And I've been now on over 400 stages. So after engagement after engagement after engagement, I started realizing this piece of media is making people feel something, and what they reflect back to me is giving me incredible insight into the conversation called, where do I belong? And so I've become a belonging expert very much accidentally. I have a 17-year-old and a 15-year-old. My greatest hope is that I've demonstrated to them that whatever dream they have, and however far away it might seem, that it's so worthwhile spending whatever time you need to take to make sure that it happens in the world, because there are no accidents. I try to be as transparent as possible with them when it comes to the things that I continue to be challenged with, that it's possible to have, to be a great mom, but also to be a great whatever it is they decide to be, and that it isn't an either or, it's not binary. My husband is an actor, and he is a writer of screenplays, and he has absolutely put his dreams aside for me. It required a lot of him to make that possible, from everything from the rides driving the kids to and from school, to parties, to play dates, making sure that they're fed, going shopping, and also, doing the work that he does, but not being able to really fully do the work that he wants to do. And so it makes me emotional because I look forward to when he can fully embrace that and have the experience of living out what he really wants to do. We all deserve to feel that way. In Latina, the gender roles are like polarized, or I would say specific, it's not really acceptable in my culture for there to be this mismatch. Audience members over the last several years have asked, what does my husband think of this, right? Or a lot of women have said, I could never do what I really want to do because I don't have a husband like yours. First, whenever I tell people I'm a filmmaker, let's say they're out, they have no idea who I am. Oh, that's nice, right? And then they see the film and they're like, wow, like, that was really good. I wasn't expecting that, right? And so I would say that's a general public feedback, right, of me. I'm a woman, I'm Latina. And if they know that, they're even more impressed. And so the question becomes, why, right? Secondly, we tried to sell the film to a very well-known outlet that produces very well-known documentaries. And the offer that was given was so abysmal that I declined. And of course I thought, wow, I'm Latina, I'm a woman. I'm telling a story that has so much nuance that people can't really see the value. If that isn't the plight of women in business, I don't know what is. Then we pitched a second film, same outlet, declined. I wondered, as I was pitching the film in a ginormous conference room in New York City, in a very well-known address, how many men sat there pitching something similar and who would have been taken a little bit more seriously than me. But when it comes to the story of a woman in business, the narrative of, I'm not going to follow these rules. I get to figure out my own way, and I get to believe that my way will make it through the noise. These restrictions or challenges are so baked into my day-to-day. I surprise people with what I've created, right? If anything, I would say I'm more determined than resentful, because I also get, if anything, how many women need to see successful women, and how many women of color need to see successful women of color, and how many storytellers need to see their stories be told.